Suzanne and Jeremy are curious about a lot of things, just like you. Suzanne and Jeremy are part of a family. There are all kinds of families, but God's plan for every family is the same. He wants us to care for and forgive and love one another, the way He loved us when He sent His Son Jesus to be our Savior. Every member of every family adds more love to the family, and families are always growing up. The grown-ups grow older, the babies grow bigger. Sometimes children even grow bigger than their parents. But all people began life in the same way, just as God planned it. Jeremy and Suzanne learned how one day when they visited a museum and saw a display called The Miracle of Birth. The display showed many wonderful things.
Oh, look how tiny that baby is. I've never seen a baby that little.
That's really how big a baby is after 2 months. It's about as big as your daddy's thumb. When a baby is that tiny, it can't eat or even breathe for itself. It lives inside its mother's body in a special place God made for a baby to grow. It is called a uterus. While the baby grows, the uterus stretches just like a balloon, bigger and bigger. Here's a baby when it's a little bigger. The baby still can't eat or breathe for itself, but one of God's miracles is that it doesn't have to. See that cord going from the baby's tummy to the side of the uterus? Food and air come to the baby from the mother, and wastes from the baby also move through that tube to the mother.
Was I ever that little that I couldn't breathe?
You sure were. Even your mother and I were that small once. Do you know where the cord joined your body?
At your belly button.
Another name for that is navel, Jeremy.
Look, the baby is getting bigger.
Hey, Dad, these babies don't have any clothes on.
Oh, they don't have to.
It's warm and comfortable in the uterus. The baby lies all curled up with its legs bent and tucked under its chin.
And the bigger the baby gets, the bigger the uterus gets?
Right. The uterus keeps stretching until the baby is ready to be born.
When it is time for the baby to be born, it comes out through an opening which is called the vagina. It's the opening between the one for urine and the place for bowel movements. After a baby is born, the vagina and uterus return to their normal size.
That's neat. Is that why Susie is always saying girls are better?
Well, let's say different. On a boy's body, you can see more of the parts, like the penis and the scrotum.
Boys and girls really are different.
Yes, but there are also many ways in which boys and girls are the same. They can both grow and think and feel and love.
It's interesting that God planned for just about the same number of boys and girls to be born. Both are important to Him.
Dad, how long does it take a baby to grow inside a mother?
And how does a baby start to grow?
It takes about 9 months for a baby to grow large enough to be born.
And how the baby started is another of God's miracles. You know that when a man and woman love each other and decide to get married and spend the rest of their lives together, they show their love in many ways.
I know, hugging and kissing and stuff.
Right, but maybe we can explain it a little more clearly.
When a boy becomes a man, many changes take place. But one of the most important is this, Jeremy. In the scrotum, the bag of skin that hangs behind the penis, are the testicles. The testicles of a man make millions of tiny cells called sperm.
And when girls become women, in these little organs called ovaries, a little cell called an ovum is released every so often.
God is happy when two people decide to get married and start their life together with His blessing.
He made a husband and wife for living together and showing their love to each other all their life. At very special times, they like to hold each other close. God made their bodies so they fit together in a wonderful way.
At one of those special love times, the sperm from the man's body can go into the woman's body.
Sometimes a sperm and an ovum join in the mother's body. That is when a new baby begins.
And that's why a baby belongs to both its father and its mother. That's how God planned it. Both mother and father have a part in making the baby, but God has the biggest part.
And Jeremy, can you and Suzanne guess now why your father and I wanted you to know more about babies and how they're made?
'Cause we're getting big enough to be a man and a woman.
Really?
No, not quite. That won't happen for a few more years yet. We had a very special reason.
I know. You're going to have a baby.
Yes, God's answered our prayers. Isn't it exciting? In a couple of months, you'll even be able to feel the baby moving inside my uterus.
But babies are always crying. Won't it mess things up at home?
I don't think so. I think it will be wonderful. I can take care of it just like one of my dolls.
Yes, darling, a new baby needs a lot of special care.
I can feed it, can't I?
Not right away. I plan to nurse the baby for a while, like I did you and Jeremy.
You mean we're going to have a nurse staying with us too?
No, Jeremy. Nursing means I'll feed the baby milk from my breasts. God also planned a woman's body so she could feed a baby everything it needs for quite a while.
But Anne's little sister drinks from a bottle with a nipple on. I wonder why she gets her milk that way.
Some mothers feed their babies milk from bottles. That milk helps them grow strong and healthy, too. Those mothers also love their babies very much. They hold them close, cuddle them, talk to them, smile at them.
Susie, you and I and Jeremy can help feed the baby later, when it's ready for cereal and fruit juice and baby food.
But we can talk to it
And play with it?
and love it, can't we?
We sure can. And that's a very important part. We're a family.
And families are people living together.
Having good times together.
Helping each other.
Forgiving and loving each other, the way Jesus does.
It's all part of God's plan.